This is an interesting one. Let's talk about it. Written and directed by Brian Duffield, No One Will Save You tells the story of an exiled, anxiety-ridden homebody who must battle an alien who's found its way into her home. If you want a spoiler-free review of No One Will Save You, I will just say this. I enjoyed watching it. It's a short runtime. I think it's 93 minutes. And if you have Hulu, I say, yeah, go for it. It's an interesting film. It's definitely not just a horror film, but it's out there. It's out there, and I enjoyed watching it while it lasted. If you've got Hulu, why not? Give it a shot. So there's your spoiler-free part. Now let's talk spoilers. I knew next to nothing when it came to this movie. I'd heard people in my Discord, in the chat, they were talking about it and they wanted to know what I thought of it. And I'm glad I watched it. I'm really glad I watched it, but it's really, really out there. I mean, there's almost no dialogue in the whole movie. I mean, if you've seen that, you know that. You know that there's barely any dialogue. I think there's probably not even a page worth of dialogue in the script. It's mostly this person, Kaitlyn Dever, Bryn is her character name. It's basically going through her life, what it's like to live like her, and then all of this stuff starts happening, and she has to deal with it. And that's very interesting. I mean, if you think about it, in this day and age, for a major studio like 20th Century, which is under Disney, right? For them to have this kind of budget to make this kind of movie, it's kind of interesting. Now, I get why it was just put out on Hulu, because I don't know if this is the kind of movie that would work really well in a theater. And I'm talking about for box office reasons, right? For the amount of money that it takes to put a movie in a theater. I can understand why this was put on Hulu. I gotta say, Kaitlyn Dever is someone to watch because she absolutely carried this movie, and I was interested in her story. And it's amazing to be able to get involved in a character's journey without any dialogue or anything other than her basically going through life. That was really interesting to me. Before I get into the real technical stuff about this movie, I want to say that the score by Joseph Trapanese was fantastic. I mean, his score is as much of a character as Kaitlyn is. And it does a really, really good job of very intelligently portraying sort of what she's feeling and what she's thinking based on the score. And that is really well done. And I just enjoyed the score throughout. But when it comes to the technical stuff, CG aside, there is some shaky CG, but the movie is gorgeous. It's beautifully shot. I love the framing. There was just a lot of beautiful shots in this movie, and it made it fun to watch because I was looking forward to seeing what else I was going to see, because I saw some beautiful imagery here, and the way that everything is lit, it's just technically perfect. When it comes to the CG though, the CG has its moments where it looks a little fake. And if I had a criticism for on the technical side, I would say that, and I guess this comes to the writing, but I kind of wish that the aliens weren't shown as much. There's really three different sorts of aliens that we see. The typical, I don't know, like 6 foot tall alien. Then there's one that's really short and kind of stubby and just kind of weird and creepy looking. And then there's one that's almost like the spider alien, which is really, really tall. It's got really long, thin arms and legs. It's cool, but I really enjoyed just the typical 6 foot tall model. I think that one looked the best. I don't know why we had to have so much of them, because it's like, to me in horror, a lot of times, especially when there's CG or when there's practical effects being displayed there. Sometimes it's what you don't see that's scarier. And I will also say that the sound design was really, really good, even though I didn't, the clicking and the, weird sounds that the aliens made. I was kind of like, okay, not sure why they sound like that. And then there's this weird thing about, where it's like twitching and stuff. And I'm like, why is that happening? I don't know. Like, to me, alien lore, it just didn't fit. But again, it's not my movie. It's not my story. So, hey, that's a thing. I really appreciated there was a lot of alien lore that they sort of adhered to. First off, the design of the 6 foot tall alien. It looks a lot like the aliens that we've seen, the Greys, you could say. Even when Bryn, I guess almost accidentally, kills an alien, when the body's left there, it starts to smell. The lore says, or I guess the testimony of some people who have dealt with aliens said that there's a strong ammonia smell. So it was kind of interesting that they adhered to a lot of the lore here. I don't know. I kind of wish we didn't see them as much and so early. It's like let's drag this out a little bit. The suspense, because I thought the sound design was really cool and very, very creepy. I think the thing that's probably going to be most divisive about this movie, because I think it's really, really well done. It's very well crafted, very well paced. But it's the ending that sort of is probably divisive to people. And I just thought it was kind of an interesting take on what might happen if aliens decided to basically take over this planet. I mean, that's really what happened at the end of this movie, right? The fact that they sort of saw in her mind, they saw what makes her happy, and for whatever reason, they decide to make her happy and give her her own little slice of I guess paradise there. Even when the camera pans up and there's still ships flying around or whatever, doing whatever they're doing. So this is one of those movies where I'm like, I'm glad I watched it. I enjoyed it, but I don't need to see it again. It's not the kind of movie that you want to go back and see all the things. I mean, other than maybe getting tips on how to frame, because I think they did a superb job with the way that the movie looks and the way that everything's shot. But other than that, I mean, there's not a lasting effect, at least to me. And I'm kind of curious what other people think about that. So yeah, no one will save you. I mean, like I said, Brian Duffield did a pretty damn good job, I'd say, with this movie. And Kaitlyn Dever, again, man, she is someone to watch because she carried this movie and made me care. And that's something that's really hard to do, especially without dialogue and without, her actually interacting with people. It's just, or I guess the lack of interaction it was part of her character. But man, just what a superb job. And even though I won't be watching it again, I still appreciated it. So I'm curious what you think about it. Let's talk about it down in the comment section below. Did you like the ending? Do you think the ending was terrible? Yeah, let's discuss it. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.